When we talk about the religions of Egypt, two cults far surpass all others in terms of broad appeal. One of those is the cult of Thoth, god of the Scribes, which we will discuss on this episode of Ancient Egypt and the Bible. There were two commoner cults in ancient Egypt, the cults of Hathor and the cult of Thoth. Today, we are going to take a close look at a cult that held special importance to the scribes of Egypt, the cult of Thoth. Now, Thoth was originally a moon god who eventually became associated with writing and knowledge. He presided over scribes and those involved in scholarly pursuits. But unlike other cults, where the god on his bark was only served by kings, Thoth, on his sacred bark, was served by an entourage of common people. This gave Thoth wide appeal and attracted worship among all the classes of the social strata. So while the best known cults of Egypt are those that left the magnificent temples and cenotaphs, it would be a distortion to think that the royal cults received the most worship. Thoth was an important deity in the Old Kingdom and was frequently mentioned in the pyramid texts. He was incorporated into both the solar theology as well as the mortuary cults. As part of the solar cult, he rode the lunar bark, which was a counterpart to the solar bark of the sun god Re. As part of the mortuary cult, he was the god that presided over the weighing of the heart in the judgment scenes before Osiris. In his iconography, Thoth was portrayed as both an ibis and a baboon. As a zoomorphic form, Thoth as a baboon is very common, especially in the images where a scribe is seated. Now, in Egyptian mythology, Thoth's parentage is somewhat uncertain. He has been called the son of Re, but in the contendings of Horus and Seth, Thoth was said to emerge from the forehead of Seth when Seth ate the lettuce laced with Horus's semen. As scribe of the gods, he recorded the passing of time and divine history, as well as, quote, the divine words, end quote, of the Ennead, which is the 9 principal gods of Egypt. The association within Egyptian metaphysics between writing and magic meant that Thoth was often invoked in magical spells and popular religion. He also determined the long reigns of the kings. He is portrayed writing the name of the king on the tree of life, with each leaf representing another year of the king's life. This tree of life motif is even found throughout the Bible. For example, Genesis 2:9, 3:24, Book of Proverbs, and Revelation 22. The main cult center of Thoth's worship was at Hermopolis, which was called in Egyptian Kemnu, which was across the river from Tel Amarna. However, the remains of small mud brick chapels dedicated to Thoth can be found throughout Egypt. Moreover, Thoth was an important part of many Egyptian cults. He was thought to take care of works of writing, including as the lord of the, quote, houses of life. These houses of life functioned as scriptoria and libraries that were attached to temples. So, Thoth was an important part of practically every cult in Egypt. Thoth was also a god who commanded magic and secrets that were unknown even to other gods. So if you wanted to get the dirt on another god, you went to Thoth. He held the secrets. During the Middle Kingdom, the elite followers of Thoth were regarded as having special knowledge and magic abilities. Furthermore, these adepts had a reputation as proclaimers of truth, and as such, Thoth had the reputation as a god of truth and integrity. In the late period, Thoth acquired the epithet the Silver Aten in his role as the moon god, and counterpart to the Aten, the solar disk. Now, we have to understand this is long after the Amarna period Aten worship. After Atenism ceased, the Aten, which was the solar disk, still was worshipped as, say, basically a manifestation of Re. So you had the solar disk in the sky, the Aten, but you also had the Silver Aten, which was the moon. And this was ascribed to Thoth. Finally, in the Hellenistic period, the Greeks equated Thoth to Hermes. And it's during this period that he became known as Hermes Trismegistus, 3 times great. The works of Hermes Trismegistus were the Egyptian syntheses of religion and philosophy that ultimately became instrumental in the development of Gnosticism. So the Thoth cult played a really pivotal role in this development, this syncretization of religion and Middle Platonism to develop a kind of new religious system. We see the traces of that throughout Gnostic thought. So anyway, that's an overview of the cult of Thoth, scribe of the gods. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I will see you next time on Ancient Egypt and the Bible.